Whoa! Okay, hold up. Hey everyone, Sparks back with another Goddess Victory Nikke video. I've pulled for my Asuka. If you missed the polling session, I also kind of talked about how I felt about Evangelion collabs in general in the last video, so link in the description below to that. But this is all about Asuka testing and seeing if she's actually worth it. So there's a few things that I want to do here. I want to compare Asuka to Black Shadow because currently Black Shadow Scarlet is the premier wind attacker and we need more of them. And then I want to compare her to a different variation of Black Shadow Scarlet that might be a little less fair, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. And then also compare Asuka to old Asuka, because which Asuka is better? Which one should you actually pull for? We'll try and find out. And then ultimately, how is she compared to some of the other MGs and some of the other just generally really strong DPS units like Rappy and Modernia? This is what I have her at so far. So pretty low investment. I pulled for my single copy of her, no limit breaks at all. She does have a basic doll on her, or basic collectible. I also was able to get her almost 4 overloads. I was just slightly short of having resources to immediately overload those boots, but boots aren't as big of a deal. And I got surprisingly good lines. These are not rerolls at all. I got lucky, so I already got an elemental damage line. And then on the gloves, I got charge damage, which does nothing, but I got a ammo and an attack, which is also quite good. And then on the chest, I got an ammo and a hit rate. So really solid for first rolls without redoing them at all. I'm feeling pretty decent about that. And then I have all of her skills at 444 and a level 11 Bastion Cube and her affection all the way up to 10. So we're going to take her through these couple of tests on the boss shooting range and see how she compares. So here you can see I just set up kind of a generic team that's just going to be, decent for any kind of DPS units with Crown, Modernia, and Leader. And then of course the two units that we are comparing most closely, Black Shadow Scarlet and Asuka. This doesn't really give either one a particular advantage. We don't have a lot of synergy here, just kind of their raw ability, and we are fighting a boss that is weak to wind, and I want to see what the difference in damage is. Now, I already told you my investment for Asuka. You should know my investment for Black Shadow Scarlet is much higher, so she is maxed out 10 skills on everything. She also is fully overloaded with all of her equipment at level 5. Also has a maxed out doll, so her stats are just going to be way better. So this is big advantage to Black Shadow Scarlet. We'll see if Asuka at kind of a moderate low investment, only level 4 skills again, and not leveled up overloads. She's a little short compared to Black Shadow Scarlet. Can she keep up at all? All right, well, we set a new record. I don't even know if I've done this particular version of shooting range before, so that doesn't mean anything, but we have a total damage of 4.1 billion, which I will record and kind of compare to some other things, although again I don't really think that's that relevant. But let's see the damage between the two DPS units. And Asuka is getting outperformed here by quite a bit, and this is not surprising. Honestly, if Asuka was even remotely close, it would have been really surprising because Black Shadow Scarlet is the strongest wind DPS in the game. Top 3, potentially in some situations, the just strongest DPS in general in the game, and she's way more invested. That said, we got about 50% of the damage, so Asuka wasn't completely embarrassed. She also out-damaged Modernia, which is quite noteworthy because Modernia is still an extremely strong DPS, and Modernia was not bursting, which this is kind of the best case scenario for Modernia. Single target, no burst, and Asuka managed to out-damage her. So actually that's very impressive for Asuka, and she only gets better, right? She only gets better with investment. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next test. Now this time we have a more favored Black Shadow Scarlet squad here, right? So we have Mana, who is going to, in theory, really boost Black Shadow Scarlet's DPS a lot. So this is kind of the real scenario you would be using Black Shadow Scarlet in, or you would be using Alice. The difference between Mana and Alice is very, very small compared to like how they actually help Black Shadow Scarlet. But we'll go ahead and see what this is like. The thing about Asuka is that she doesn't have her partner, right? So we don't have new Rey to use with her. So that will increase Asuka's power. So the differential might be really big now, but we are going to see that potentially close up more when we have Asuka. Now, we did set a new record. We did an extra 0.6 billion, which is a pretty decent increase. Not enormous, but an increase nonetheless. And if we take a look, the damage definitely went up. So Black Shadow Scarlet went up by 0.8 billion compared to what she was doing before. Now, the difference here is that Mana is doing far less than Asuka was doing. Yeah, she's doing like 250 million less than Asuka was. So, you know, it's being offset in those areas. So this is like what the real power of the Black Shadow Scarlet team would be. And of course, you know, you can mix and match your burst 1s and burst 2s depending on what you're doing for like a raid or something like that. And we'll have to see. You know, this is first impressions. We'll see what Asuka is like when she has her partner. But right now we want to see, like, can Asuka be good even if she doesn't have Rey with her? Because remember, Asuka does give herself a debuff. I believe it's her skill 2, if I remember correctly. One of them, anyway, gives her a debuff on her MG. It makes her wind up really slowly, because remember, MGs have that function where they shoot very slowly at the beginning, and then Rey removes that. So there is going to be a difference there in damage, and they kind of buff each other in other ways as well. So we'll talk about that more when we actually have Rey. But for now, we can definitely see that the Black Shadow Scarlet team is, you know, quite strong compared to Black Shadow on her own, who was already looking stronger than Asuka, even if she did have an advantage. But let's go ahead and now compare the two Asukas. We want to see which one is more worth your time if you're brand new or you skipped her before and you're thinking about going back and possibly getting Asuka now that we have two choices. So now we are looking at the Battle of the Asukas. Now, our total damage here is not going to be relevant at all. This is a completely ridiculous team that you would never use. And for our third DPS, I just put Black Shadow Scarlet in here because I thought it would be interesting to compare her if she's not bursting. We are also fighting a water weak boss, as to not give anyone an unfair elemental damage. Also, my Asuka 1.0 is another highly invested unit, so she has level 10 skills. She's got a buffed up collectible. She has completed overload. So again, big advantage to original Asuka here. So we'll see if new Asuka can keep up. You know, this is going to sound like speculation, or it is speculation, frankly. It is completely speculation, but I would not be surprised to see a completely invested Asuka 2.0 literally double in the damage numbers that I'm showing here. So, you know, we are going from level 4 to level 10 skills, having the maxed out overloads, all that is going to dramatically increase her damage. And seriously, I would not be surprised to see it double. But let's see how she compares as is. Okay, Black Shadow Scarlet falls off a lot, but whoa! Okay, hold up. We'll come back to that. Asuka. Eye Patch Asuka did the most damage. Okay, all those caveats, all the all the hedging that I was just doing to make her not look so bad didn't even matter. She just out-damaged her old self. It's very close, but still, she did more damage. She did the most damage. That is extremely impressive. Not only that, but they both out-damaged Black Shadow Scarlet, who's not able to burst there. And Asuka just gets better, right? Eye Patch Asuka just gets better. She can have a lot more invested here, which anybody can do right now. And then once she's paired with her partner, Rey 2.0, then she gets more buffs and she's even better. That's an extremely impressive result because original Asuka is a very strong unit. She is not at all mid. She's extremely good. Now, granted, she can be better with a Pierce team, right? You put her with like Grave, for instance. You know, she can be built around more and she will have more of an advantage. But one of the things about new Asuka is the fact that I think she is good in pretty much any team, right? Other than the fact that having Rey will make her even better. You don't really need to build your whole squad around her. Now, Black Shadow Scarlet also gets an advantage in general because Eye Patch Asuka uses an MG, which is going to give her an advantage against units with cores or enemies with cores, which is what we are fighting here. Asuka, the original Asuka, will also, you know, be better against units with parts that she can pierce through versus just a normal enemy here with a single core. So, you know, it just kind of, they have their ups and downs. But either way, Eye Patch Asuka looks extremely impressive here. This is very, very impressive. Again, not a relevant squad in general, but this, just the comparison between these three units, that was very impressive. The other thing is that she compared very, very favorably to Modernia, which was honestly quite surprising. Now, she did have elemental damage in that case, but again, my Modernia is far more invested, so still extremely impressive result there as well. So is Asuka worth pulling for? I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty clear that she's worth pulling. Again, these are first impressions. I will make a full review and guide for her later on. We can do more thorough testing, and I have finished actually building her out. But right now, I have to say I would recommend her. And between the two Asukas, it's looking more favorable towards the new one. That said, the original one is very strong, so if you can pull both, pull both. But I would lean towards the new Asuka as far as just my preliminary findings go. I think she's going to be better in a more general sense, more multi-purpose use, and if anything, is slightly out-damaging her, which is extremely impressive. And she just has inherent value in the fact that she is wind, right? Like, let's sort by just wind here. And, like, who else are you using? You got Black Shadow Scarlet, obviously. But other than her, I mean, what do we have? Summer Sakura? I mean, she was, like, you know, a semi-limited unit, so a lot of people probably don't even have her. And, you know, if you're not fighting some with parts, she's just not relevant at all. And just even then, like, you know, she's just not on the same level. A solid unit, but not on the same level. Noir, I mean, Mana, but Mana has to be paired with Black Shadow Scarlet, and so you're not really getting another win team for raids anyway. So, I mean, Asuka is kind of where it's at. Eye Patch Asuka is looking pretty dang good, and, you know, however you feel about the collab, I know it's complicated. I have my own feelings too, trust me, but I think she's worth it. So my advice is, you know, either hold until we can do really thorough testing and look at the results, but I think it's pretty safe to say she's very strong and it's going to be worth it, and you might regret it if you don't end up pulling for her. All right, let me know your thoughts. Have you cooked up anything with her specifically? How have your results been? Are you still holding? Did I change your mind about her at all? I'd be really curious to get your feedback on that. So definitely leave me a comment below, and consider giving the channel a subscription if you haven't already. It'll really help me out. I'll catch you guys in the next video or stream.